First of all, I want to share with you the product status. As I mentioned already, the product will be known as Groupwise 2014. We started an authorized beta with this product all the way back in June of 2013. It's gone extremely well. We've had very active beta sites and participation on weekly calls, as well as now 9 beta refreshes to that group. As we've updated the code, they've deployed it and tested it, provided feedback, and ensured that we're ready for production systems and your company's deployment of Groupwise 2014. In addition, one of the criteria for shipping Groupwise is always a Novell internal rollout. And we have rolled out Groupwise 2014 since September of last year within Novell. That already is supporting every post office in the Americas, in Europe, as well as in Asia-Pac. That represents a support for over 2,500 users worldwide of the product that are successfully using that in post office and all the back-end systems. And the client rollout has also begun throughout the organization. Currently, it's still a fairly small number, but every day that advances, and we will have that up to several thousand users by the time the product ships. In lieu of a public beta, 2014 actually released a tech preview. Many of you probably signed up for that. It was available back in November. All you had to do was sign up and you could get access to 2014 code, begin deploying that in your labs and in your test systems, and get familiar with the new feature set and the product. And as another requirement for release, we also instituted a Lighthouse program that began in December. And this is where we have a handful of customers, in this case 3, that actually agree to deploy Groupwise 2014 in a production setting, much like Novell does, and give us feedback on what is working for them and what they're seeing in real production situations and scenarios. We had a government agency in Texas that did that. We had a large government agency in the United Kingdom that's done that. And we have one more that's about ready to begin, and it is a healthcare organization out of Philadelphia. And so very excited about those 3 programs as they give us confidence and allow us to share with you the product status and quality that is built into this release as we march to its final delivery. Externally, we are still communicating that this product will be available this quarter, Q1 of 2014. We do have some internal targets that we're marching to, and we also have a Gold Master build already, and we're really in the final mop-up of that. But pending any unforeseen issues or problems, we do expect this product to release in this first quarter of 2014. How are we talking about this product to our customers and partners? How are we getting our salespeople to discuss this particular release and its qualities, features, and enhancements is kind of built into this slide here. Obviously, some of these terms are very simple. They're things that we rely on, much like email. Productivity, flexibility, and agility. And what we're trying to do with each of those themes is really talk to 3 different audiences within an organization, and particularly within your organization. So whether you're an end user, whether you're a decision maker, or whether you're an IT professional, Groupwise 2014 has something specifically for you. And we have a message that we want you to hear around productivity, flexibility, and agility. And you see those summarized and outlined in this particular slide. And first of all, we'll take end users. Groupwise 2014 has refreshed the Groupwise Windows client and added new features and capability that really intuits those work habits that are most common and that are most used inside an end user's productive day. We know that email is home base for most users. This is the application that is mission critical. This is the application where all work gets done, or at least all workflow processes flow through that communication channel. Meetings are organized, communications are made, task lists are posted, and organization happens and collaboration happens inside your Windows client. We've refreshed that look, we've improved the user interface, we've simplified and surfaced those activities that are most common, and when we get to the demo part of this presentation today, I'll try and illustrate several of those for you. In addition to end users, we also want to share with them a very comprehensive mobile support story that allows them flexibility to get their job done no matter where they're at, whether on their desktop, whether they're in a browser, whether on a mobile device, or even a tablet. Allowing those users the ability to make decisions on the fly, not only from where they're at, but also within the product. With those new user interfaces, it allows me to, instead of walking down a very structured flow chart of how software is architected or created, it allows toggles and switches and slide outs and options that allows you to create email and compose messages in a very simplified, intuitive, and flexible way. And that last theme for end users, agility, really talks about making sure that our product is current, is fresh, is contemporary, that it fits in with the other desktop applications that you're using, and that it looks like all of the rest of the apps that you're using. And so Groupwise 2014 has spent a lot of time giving the Windows client a facelift. We've taken cues from some of the other styles that are out there, whether that is Windows 8 and the Metro apps, or whether that is iOS 7 interface designs. We've flattened the look, we've removed borders and shading, we've reduced the gradients, and in general what we've tried to do is reduce the UI constructs and clutters that is used to build a user interface and really concentrate on the content and the information that you are going to act on. Turning our attention to the IT audience, we also have a particular message to them in each of these three areas. First of all, in productivity. New with Groupwise 2014 is a shift away from Console 1 and a brand new experience for the IT manager and the IT staff. They now have a new, completely web-based, flexible interface that allows them to administer their Groupwise system essentially anywhere they have a browser, including mobile devices. In addition to that web administration model, we've also introduced a new feature that gives you granular admin rights, that you can delegate responsibility and accountability for a domain or even a post office to another administrator in your organization, and delegate that responsibility out, freeing up administrators not only to concentrate on the areas that they have responsibility for, but also to allow them to spread out the workload as needed. We've also introduced in this release some very advanced ideas through a new Web Services API, which we'll demonstrate and show a little bit about in the demo today. Also to the IT audience with flexibility, we give them a choice of client, server, and directory. The IT administrator can accommodate users that are using browsers, that are using desktop applications, that are using mobile devices. They also have their choice on the server side. They can deploy OES, they can deploy SLES, or they can deploy Groupwise on Windows. And new for Groupwise 2014 is added flexibility of choice of directory. We will continue to support eDirectory, but we've also expanded into two new areas. Groupwise 2014 will allow your organization to completely run on Active Directory, or for even more flexibility, no directory at all. And it's so flexible that a single post office could have users that are sourced from all three of those, meaning I could have users that came from eDirectory, Active Directory, or no directory actually working on the same post office. In addition, late last year, early last year in 2012 in April, we introduced Coexistence solution for Exchange. For those organizations that have gone through a merger or acquisition, or who have a pocket full of Groupwise or Exchange in an overall larger organization of one product or the other, this allows your IT administrator the flexibility to allow both of those systems to coexist seamlessly within their data center. And we'll talk about that as well in a couple of slides in this presentation. And then the last thing is agility for IT is really supporting the very latest technology, the latest version of the browsers, the latest version of the OSs, the latest version of architectures. Groupwise 2014 on the back end is 64-bit only, thus fitting into those modern and contemporary data centers that already exist and that you've already upgraded and running to. You can now take full advantage of those IT staff with a fully 64-bit version of Groupwise 2014. Now to the decision makers, also we have a message for you. Decision makers who are making the purchasing decisions, who are making the strategic decisions for an organization or enterprise, we want you to know about 2014 in the following ways. We have new capabilities in this release that will empower every member of your organization, from the IT staff to the end user. And we've been very diligent in making sure that it is familiar yet new and fresh, meaning you can take advantage of a ton of new functionality without the big learning curve of having to go through training or, learning from our friends at Microsoft, searching for the start menu, because you can't get productive without finding something familiar. In addition, for decision makers, our flexibility continues with our very strong message of low total cost of ownership and supporting your existing investments, not having to forklift, upgrade, or change dramatically your infrastructure to be able to install or deploy this latest version of Groupwise and the collaboration systems that it relies on. And the last message here around agility to the decision makers is our strong message that Groupwise continues to be as secure and reliable as it's always been, and that those decision makers have allowed to be able to invest in a product that they know will be around, that they know will be secure, and their data is safe. More importantly, we believe that Novell has a very unique message to those customers in those industries that are very sensitive about their data and want to maintain control of their data. With Groupwise and its total cost of ownership and its strong reliability message, you can get the benefits of the cloud without the risk and deploy on-premise. That low cost of ownership, that capability of administration costs being so low, and the ratio of administrators to end users being so prevalent throughout our product allows those decision makers the ability to get all of those benefits that cloud is promising and under-delivering, and that Groupwise has always promised and always delivered. Moving to the next slide here, this is a summary of kind of the biggest changes that are coming in Groupwise 2014. We do have some reference material that goes exhaustively into all of the changes and new features and capabilities that are coming with this release, but we wanted to give you a glance at the top new admin features and the top new client features that we are marketing and talking about to all of our customers, partners, and sales personnel. And we'll demonstrate most of these in the demo, but I wanted to at least provide this as part of the slide deck so you have an easy reference to what's new and what's coming in Groupwise 2014. So let's move right into the demo and show you some of these features. The first 4 slides, these are all screenshots. The first 4 slides are all about the administration piece. And this first one is to illustrate the flexibility that we're providing with Groupwise 2014 that you can administer your system essentially anywhere that you have a browser. This is the new Web Administration Console demonstrated on an Android tablet, which allows you as administrator the ability to very easily determine if your system is up and running, if a post office or an MTA is down, simply be able to change a password, whether you're out to lunch or away from your desktop or office, but you still have connectivity. That flexibility is demonstrated here, as well as a complete new and slick interface that is lightweight, doesn't tether you to a installed client or to a desktop, and allows you to administer your system from anywhere. The next slide illustrates the new feature of the administration console that allows you to delegate administrative rights to another person inside your organization, another administrator, and give them control over a domain or a post office, allowing them to be able to make settings changes, to administer those users, to give granular control to that particular individual without giving up the complete control to the system, where they may inadvertently have an impact on the overall performance of the system because they changed a setting that they weren't familiar with or they didn't know would have an impact on other parts of your deployment. These are very elegantly implemented for your administrators. Not only can they change those particular settings for a post office or a domain, but we also surface in a read-only mode information in detail that they may need to be able to make their decision about the entire system, thus giving them all of the information and the limited control that is required in a delegated type of scenario. The next screenshot here is about advanced querying and reporting. And the underlying message that we want to make sure is clear is this new administration model has been built from the ground up on a web services RESTful interface that is not only exposed and utilized internally to develop this web administration console, but it's also exposed to our third parties to develop new tools and utilities, as well as to administrators that need to have a very specialized scripting tool or importing tool that they can develop that is specialized to their enterprise. They have full control to all of the settings and information that is stored and accessed through the administrative console. It's very powerful in the sense that this web services API allows you to do advanced querying and reporting. So you can very easily tell who inside my organization has an email quota of 10 gigabytes, for example, or who inside my organization has a password that's expired, or who inside my organization is coming from Active Directory versus eDirectory. All of that type of advanced querying is not only surfaced in the UI, but it's also exposed to third parties to create tools, utilities, and scripts that further enhance the administrator's experience and capability to administer their system. New for Groupwise 2014, as mentioned, is our support for Active Directory. This is a significant step and milestone in making sure that we continue to tell our interoperability story. Now administrators, decision makers have more options as they consolidate their data centers, as they drive decisions inside their organization that requires one technology or another. Groupwise will continue to work in those environments and in those settings. It's very simple to now take your existing Groupwise system, upgrade it to 2014, and then reassociate those users from eDirectory to Active Directory. As long as those users all exist in your Active Directory system, it's a simple matter of importing and reassociating those users in Groupwise from their source in eDirectory to their new source in Active Directory. And this illustrates that quite elegantly in this screenshot of how that takes place and where that takes place inside the user interface. That concludes the information that I wanted to share with you on the administration side of things. We're now going to turn our attention to a few screenshots and some demonstrations around the Groupwise Windows client. The first screenshot is the new Groupwise 2014 Compose view or Reply view. Here we're going to illustrate a variety of different features. First of all, you'll notice a brand new simplified UI that hopefully takes the controls and the UI that is more seldom used and fades that into the background and surfaces those controls in that user interface that allows you to concentrate on the most common and useful activities that you need when you're composing or replying to an email. You'll first notice that you just have three simple controls: a to field, a subject, and the message body. The other fields like the from, the CC, and the BC are still just a click away and they can be toggled on and off very easily, but they're now hidden and simplified to give you the opportunity to concentrate on what you do most. In our surveys and for most users, 98% of all emails just are to, subject, and message body. In addition, with that simplified UI, we've demonstrated here a new option slide out that comes out to the right, and you notice that those options showing up on the right. That option slide out allows you to flexibly change your mind at any moment through the process of composing or replying to an email. I can very simply change from an email to an appointment. I can change from replying to all to a sender or back again. I can change it from a forward to forward as attachment to reply. I can easily click on whether I'm including the attachment or including the message on a reply. Those things can all be toggled on and off at any point during the composition or replying to an email. In addition, you see a line there for signature. Signature is now on by default, and you see that embedded in the message body very elegantly, where I can click and add my signature at any time, switch between my corporate signature and personal signature, switch between where that's going to be displayed, and very easily change my mind on how that happens at any point during the composition of an email. In addition, the add attachment is now not a heavy control at the bottom, but a simple link that allows me to attach or drag and drop an email or a file right to my email that I'm composing. One other feature that we want to expose here and talk about is a new feature that we're referring to as the Quick To. If you'll notice up there by the To field, there's a little down arrow. And when you click on that down arrow, what appears is a relevancy sorted list of my most common contacts. This list will build automatically. It's intuitive. It changes depending on who you're communicating with and addressing emails to. And now you have the flexibility to very quickly address an email by clicking that arrow, picking contacts off of that list from the ones that you most commonly contact anyway, and be able to address an email without ever touching the keyboard. In the next slide, we want to illustrate this new look and feel. This is prevalent throughout the client. You saw it on the Compose view. We're illustrating it here in the Calendar view. In the next view, we'll show it in the main mailbox. We've completely changed the look and feel of the client without being so disruptive that it changes the familiar constructs and the familiar interface that end users are used to. They get a feel for a new client. And the feel, how a client feels or how that software product feels is key to their overall likability of the product and its ability to be used properly. What you'll notice here is that we've changed the colors. We've changed the fonts. We've removed borders. We've removed gradients and shading. We've focused your eye and your attention on the content of the information, not the UI that's drawn around that information, and help you get things done by surfacing that information and content in not only a effective and intuitive way, but also a very eye-pleasing way. As we move to our next screenshot, we illustrate the Groupwise 2014 Mailbox view. Once again, very familiar. The folder list on the left, the message list down the middle, and the quick viewer on the right. But you'll see that it's fresh and contemporary, fewer lines, greater shade, reduced shading, and the interface allows it to be busy with content but not cluttered with UI. And the last screenshot that we want to show you is a screenshot of our web access client, which, while it didn't go through as dramatic changes as the Windows client, it certainly inherited many of the same UI changes and a new fresh look and feel, and it added one significant new feature, which is auto update. Now when new messages are delivered to your mailbox, they will automatically appear in web access just like they do in the installed desktop client without the user having to push update or refresh. They'll just automatically appear sorted in the list appropriately. Web access continues to change. We will additionally add a lot of focus to web access as we move forward with this product, but we wanted to give you a view of that particular change inside of the product. Obviously, in this demo today, in this webinar, with the limited time that we have not been exhaustive in our explanation or demonstration of the new features, either in the admin side or in the client side. We will refer you to a variety of resources that give you that more expanded look into the complete set of new features and capability. But we did want to highlight several of those things, and hopefully we've demonstrated that to you with these screenshots. I now want to talk to you about the Groupwise Coexistence solution for Microsoft Exchange. This is a technology that we introduced in April of 2012 as part of the support pack for Groupwise 2012. This is a very elegant solution in that it supports customers that are running in environments that have both Groupwise and Exchange in the same data center. It provides two very important pieces of functionality. It synchronizes the system address books between the two systems, and it facilitates free busy searches across those two systems as well. This technology demonstrates our commitment to interoperability, and it is sold as subscription pricing of $15 per user per year. It's a very elegant solution in that it is built in already to the installed and deployed components of your Groupwise architecture. That's significant in that you do not have to deploy a new server, you don't have to install a new application, you don't have to administer anything new when you enable and configure this new technology. The synchronization is built into the Groupwise MTA, and the free busy capability is built directly into all of the clients. There is one small piece that needs to be deployed to your Exchange IIS server in order to facilitate free busy capability from an Outlook client or Outlook Web Access back to Groupwise. But that's the only component that is outside the regular Groupwise components that needs to be installed and updated. Like I said, this was introduced in Groupwise 2012 SP2, and it continues to be a component in Groupwise 2014. We currently support Exchange 2010 and Groupwise 2012 SP2 or greater. that concludes the information around coexistence. The last slide that I have to share with you about changes with Groupwise 2014 and information really have to do with some licensing changes and the end-user license agreement that you will all accept when you download and deploy Groupwise 2014. Here is a summary of what those changes are, and it will be important that you familiarize yourself with those changes as you install and deploy Groupwise 2014. First of all, the licensing changes from a per-user count to a per-mailbox count. For the vast majority of our users, this will have very little impact, as most of them have a 1-to-1 ratio. For those organizations that have more mailboxes than users, they will convert automatically for you, and you'll get an equal number of mailbox licenses as needed in your organization with 2014 as you needed with 2012 with the prior per-user licenses. In addition, with Groupwise 2014, you will continue to get the entitlements for SLES, for the Groupwise Mobility Service, for Novell Messenger, and with eDirectory. But a slight change to the wording and maybe more consistent with the practice is that SLES, Messenger, and the Groupwise Mobility Service will all be tied directly to your continued active maintenance contract. And that's an important part for you to know and to remember. One other slight change, if you are leveraging the Web Access Messenger license, it is being renamed to a limited license. Functionality and capability is exactly the same, it's just a naming change. With Groupwise 2014, we're also introducing a new license. Apart from the full license or the limited license that you could purchase with Groupwise, you can now purchase an inactive license. This is particularly useful to those organizations who, after an employee leaves, needs to continue to keep that mailbox around for e-discovery, compliance, or archive reasons. You'll now be able to purchase licenses explicitly for that use. And then the last change that we want to iterate here is we have made changes to the license to more accurately spell out the capabilities that you have and the rights that you have as an organization to utilize test users and test systems. And I'll refer you to that license agreement and the communications that you'll receive shortly on that for further details. My last slide today, as we conclude our presentation, or last couple of slides here, is first of all to reiterate our strong ecosystem of collaboration partners that provide solutions in a variety of different areas that complement and enhance your Groupwise and collaboration deployment. You just heard from SEP and the excellent solutions and products that they provide. They are an excellent partner and are listed here on this slide deck. We also have a variety of antivirus, anti-spam providers, archive, e-discovery, and compliance providers, hosting providers, training providers, unified communication providers, all that have specialized integrations and solutions for Groupwise, and that will continue to support Groupwise 2014 going forward. We welcome you to reach out to these partners and look at their solutions and technologies that will further enhance your collaboration deployments. And here's the last slide that I have for you today. Is really a reference slide for you to find more material. First of all, the Groupwise Roadmap. You can always check the Groupwise Roadmap slide, Groupwise Roadmap application to get the latest information on what our plans are for Novell Groupwise, the Groupwise Mobility Service, Novell Messenger, and Novell Vibe. They are found at that link, novell.com/GWRoadmap. The Groupwise product page continues to be updated, and we'll go through several updates in the coming weeks adding material that is specific to Groupwise 2014. Not only do we provide product details and documentation on the new features and capabilities of Groupwise 2014, but we also add a variety of competitive material, technical white papers, as well as success stories, both printed and video copies of those organizations who are similar to yours in industry or in location that are using Groupwise, that have deployed Groupwise, and that are continuing to stay with the solutions that Novell provides. And you can see all of that material, and many of those will update in the coming weeks as we put out more and more information about Groupwise 2014. And then the last plug there is for the Groupwise blog. If you want to stay connected to the engineering team and the product management team to get insight into product announcements, technical details, or to collaborate with other Groupwise community members, the Groupwise blog is a great resource for you and continues to be a place where we publish and distribute information related to our collaboration portfolio. And you can find that at novell.com/gwblog. All right, Amy, I think that concludes my slide deck. I'll now go back to you and let you moderate any questions that are coming in from attendees.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Dean. And we did have a few comments about the slides, and I will provide those with the recording links, which you should see in your email tomorrow. Okay, so the first question, using the querying and reporting, is it possible to see a list of users with their current space usage, not just their quotas?
It usually doesn't do, that's not a setting that is stored inside the administrative database. It's something that only happens when you actually request that. So in general, that's not a setting that you can query, no, just what the limit is.
Okay. Can the Groupwise calendar be synchronized bi-directionally to the iOS calendaring?
Yes, it can. That functionality and capability, if I understand the question right, has been available quite some time through our Groupwise mobility service. It does allow you to synchronize data from Groupwise to your mobile device. Any ActiveSync enabled device can be synchronized, including iOS, and the data that is synchronized includes email, calendar, and contacts, and they are all bi-directional.
Okay, perfect. So the next one is a comment followed by a question. First of all, he said, great info on Groupwise 2014. Is the Groupwise IDM driver still targeted for Groupwise 2014 SP1?
We believe it will actually be sooner than that. It probably won't match exactly the date of Groupwise 2014 release, but right now it'll probably be within 30 days of that. So whenever Groupwise 2014 releases in Q1 now, within 30 days of that, we expect to have the new Groupwise 2014 IDM driver available.
Okay, so the next question, is there a direct migration path from Groupwise 8, and is 2014 included in the NOWS license product?
So I'll answer the NOWS question first. Groupwise 2014 is included as part of that. If you've purchased Groupwise through the NOWS program and you're current on your maintenance, then you will be entitled to Groupwise 2014, and you'll be able to upgrade that as soon as it's available. Regarding an upgrade path, in a general sense, yes. The upgrade path is fairly straightforward from either Groupwise 8 or from Groupwise 2012. However, there are a couple of things to be aware of. First of all, you need to be on a supported platform. So if you're running Groupwise 8 on a platform that's not supported in Groupwise 2014, then of course you can't upgrade to it automatically. You'd need to upgrade your OS and your platform first and then migrate directly to that. So that could be an area that is quite two steps. The other area is if you are maintaining or sticking with eDirectory, then yes, that upgrade should go in place and with no problems. If you're changing your directory, then it's also a two-step process in that you want to upgrade to 2014 first and then reassociate to from eDirectory to Active Directory, and that would include making sure that Active Directory has all of your users in it first, and so that would be a dependency.
Okay, the next question is, will there be an Identity Manager plugin released with the release of Groupwise 2014?
Okay, yeah, that's related to the other question, the IDM driver, and it will release within, like I say, about 30 days of the release. And it is brand new, so if you are using the current Groupwise IDM driver, you'll need to wait for the new driver to be released before you upgrade to 2014 because they are not compatible. So make sure that you know that if you are using the IDM driver, that before you go to 2014, make sure that the new IDM 2014 driver is available, and then you'll want to deploy those fairly simultaneously.
Okay, perfect. It says we create users with templates in Console 1 now so that the Groupwise accounts get created. How will this work with 2014, or is there similar functionality?
There are a variety of different ways that you can create those users. Obviously now, in a strict sense, you would now just create those in the Groupwise administration console and not through Console 1. However, if you're using iManager, there will be an iManager plugin. And if you're using Active Directory, there is an MMC plugin as well.
All right. What versions of browsers will the new management console work on?
I'll refer you to the documentation for that. It has been tested and validated on all 3 or 4 of the major browsers, including Firefox, Chrome, IE, and Safari. And in most cases, we will recommend the very latest versions of those. IE is a little bit more particular in its support, as we know that IE 11 is coming out or is about out. In that case, IE 10 is your best one, or running it in compatibility mode. And then with mobile browsers, in most cases, Chrome is going to be your best bet on any mobile device.
Okay, the next question, does the web client now allow you to make a calendar item private as you can in the client?
I'm sorry, that feature is not part of Groupwise 2014. You cannot mark an item private from the web client yet.
Okay, is eDirectory required for Messenger?
It is. Novell Messenger will not refresh, or at least not release as part of Groupwise 2014. The current version that is out there, which is Novell Messenger 2.2, is still available and will work just fine with Groupwise 2014. We are looking to release a new version of Novell Messenger. We have not determined a schedule for that. It is focused primarily on enabling mobile access and mobile applications for instant messaging. And then at some further future release, we will decouple eDirectory from Messenger as well. But the current version and the next version of Messenger will still require eDirectory.
All right. Is Groupwise 2014 API already available? Is the new API compatible with Groupwise 8 or Groupwise 2012?
The new API has been available to all of our third parties for almost a year now in a beta form. It's also available and can be seen through the tech preview if you signed up for the tech preview, you certainly get access to it. It's obviously built into the product and not a separate component by any stretch. It is brand new, so if you do have any applications that were written on the old admin API, those will not work with Groupwise 2014 and will need to be retooled for Groupwise 2014. And all of those APIs will be deprecated and no longer be supported. Those APIs is what Console 1 used, and the new APIs are all web services based and REST based. Those partners, we've been working with all of the partners that you see on that slide in getting their products ready. Many of them did not need to have any retooling and they'll work seamlessly with 2014. There were several that didn't need to do some retooling, and they will announce on their own their availability of those, but we've been working with them for about the last year, and we expect most of them will transition and have their products available either right at FCS or shortly thereafter.
Okay, the last question I'm seeing so far, how many shared calendars can you have in Groupwise 2014?
I don't know that we've ever tested an upper limit of those. There are probably some logistical things there, but we essentially, as many folders as you can create in Groupwise are as many shared folders that you can create. The logistics comes down to how many people you're sharing that with and how often those calendars change. And that's going to, the functionality of that isn't a limitation of how many you can have, but the practical application of keeping all of those calendars up to date. On the extreme side, if you had something like 400 or 500 shared calendars and they were shared with 400 or 500 different people and they were changing all the time, we're certain that you would probably have problems. If you're talking on the realm of 10 or 20 and you're sharing those with an audience of 10 or 20 and they're not changing all that often, then that functionality and capability should exist fine. I will say I don't know of any significant changes in Groupwise 2014 that changes any of the scalability or dynamics to calendar sharing. So essentially, if you're having scalability problems with 2012 or with Groupwise 8, I don't necessarily see a significant change with 2014. And if you are, and the numbers that I'm talking about are within the realm of what you're doing, we probably need to open up a support incident and let us take a look at that.
Okay, perfect. I'm not seeing any other questions at this time, but again, if you do have any questions, put those through on the chat or the Q&A, and even if we don't get to them before we wrap up in just a couple minutes, then I can always send those over to Dean and have him follow up with you directly.
Please watch your mailbox for product announcements that will come from our Novell marketing team that will tell you exactly when the product is releasing. You'll get your first communication most likely early next week as we begin to communicate about its availability, and then we do plan a couple of other communications about its coming and also when it's ultimately available. You can also check the Novell blog, the Groupwise blog at novell.com/gwblog, and we'll also announce availability of Groupwise 2014 there when it becomes available.
All right, perfect. We look forward to its release, and thank you again, Dean, for your great presentation.
Amy, I just have one more thing to tell customers.
Okay, perfect.
And to partners, it's important probably to share. If any of our Groupwise 8 customers, or if your organization is on Groupwise 8, our recommendation is that you go directly to Groupwise 2014 and that you don't upgrade to 2012. And the reason for that is that you'll get better support and you'll also get a longer support cycle as the Groupwise 2014 support cycle is just beginning, where the 2012 cycle is already 2 years expired. And so it's important that if you're on Groupwise 8 and you're planning to upgrade as general support for Groupwise 8 is winding down, that your consideration should really be about going directly to Groupwise 2014. We encourage all sales and partners people to also reiterate that message.